Put together a little lecture and I'll make the class watch. Pacific Northwest, where we're blessed with Sasquatch. Like in the Himalayas, the abominable snowman, known to have strength more phenomenal than Conan. Discovered evidence of this endangered species. Footprints, hair samples, even stranger feces. Put a bad taste in your mouth like a glass of scotch. Some say it smells worse than an ass or crotch. In British Columbia, they're more than legendary, even though the skeptics claim he's imaginary. Eyewitness accounts that attract attention, while others can't decide if it's a fact or fiction. Is there an ounce of truth? I don't pretend to know. I'm searching for the proof, whether friend or foe. Got his own erotic novel, getting naked with ladies. What's the missing 411? Ask David Pallades.
There's things that are not known. There's things that can't be known. There's things that won't be known. It's okay, you're not alone. There's things that are not known. There's things that won't be known. There's things that can't be known. It's okay, we're not alone.
Right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 4th episode of Sasquatch.Confessions and Friends. And once again, this will be part 2 of our time with Shel, Dion. And one of the things that are going to be going on, too, is this Thursday we'll be having Harley Owens to talk about his experiences there in eastern part of Tennessee, and also we'll be joined by George Lunsford, who is an author who's wrote several books on such matters as cryptids and monsters of the world and all that. But it's interesting, the reason why George will be joining us is because he and Harley both had an encounter at the same time, and it was George's first encounter, so it'd be great to have them share and compare. So with that, we got Sir JT Squire.
Hello.
Confessions. Of course, there's me. I'm the Lord of O.R.D. You can find me on YouTube as Lord of O.R.D. or O.R.D. Of course,
the 14 digital shaman.
I actually took that down to make it easier for people to find me.
Right.
It seems today there's too many words, and then of course we have Shel with us. Shel, thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hello. So we were thinking about talking a little bit about Shel's and take on 3 topics in particular. That is the rake, then the cat people, and then third, the dog man. So we're going to start out, I believe, because if Shel wants to, because she's the one that's going to be sharing us experiences. Rakes. What is a rake, Shel?
Rake. Been experiencing those things. My whole family has since the mid-90s. And I didn't know what it was until, I guess when it started coming on Facebook and people started calling it the rake, and I seen other trail cam pictures of it and stuff. I was like, oh my God, that's that creepy crawly thing we have, And I really wanted to talk about this because I don't think people are aware, especially people that are out there in the night that are, squatching. I put that in quotes. That's what people call it. Yeah.
I'm one of them. So,
the rake can actually be black, not just white. Its normal color is this pale pasty white, but it can be like chameleon. It can change itself into the night and be completely black. I do have one picture of it black. However, I didn't find it and send it to you in time, and I apologize.
It's interesting is, Shel, I actually filmed a black one last spring. I should have thought about myself and bring it up. It's actually a pretty good one.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. Thank you, David. So the thing with the rake, I'll just go from the beginning. My mom and I were driving. This was in the mid-90s on a back road to get out to where we live. And we had to slow down for a railroad track, and we were just speeding back up. And I guess this thing thought it had time to jump in front of us because we had hit the brakes and slowed down. And it came out of a ditch, and we didn't see it until it hit the road. And my mom locked up the brakes on the car, and we slid sideways almost completely into it. And it went into a field. It was on its hands and feet. And she was just, distraught over what was that. And I said, I don't know. I said, maybe it was a human on drugs. I don't know what that was. The 80s are a heavy drug time, and that you just put in, your brain will fill in what you don't have in your dictionary. So you take what you have in your dictionary and you try to explain it. you try to come up with an explanation, you know. So that was, you know, event. And then my dad had this almost the same event on the same road. He described something identical, and it was then within 2 miles of where we live, though it was closer to where we live. So that was kind of discerning. And then moving forward in time, I moved away, didn't think anything more about these weird things in the night that you'd see run across the road. And I started going through a divorce, and I had to move back into my mom's house and help her take care of my dying dad. And I had to give a ride to my son's girlfriend, to give her a ride home. And she lives out by the river, which is like 6 miles straight east of me. And so I'm heading out that way, and I get about a mile from the river, and I just turn off the main road, and I'm picking up speed on my 4x4, and a rake ran out in front of me, and I hit it. I hit it with my left front vehicle, and it took its hands and just kind of shoved and bounced off the top of my vehicle and into the forest it went. And it was so lightning speed fast, and it happened so fast. There was no hitting the brake, hitting the gas, nothing. It just happened. And it was still able to run so extremely fast, like it didn't even phase it. So I get to her house, and I hop out of the vehicle, and I run up front to see if there's any damage. And I'm looking all around me because I'm thinking, where did that thing go, you know? And it was just kind of, once again, really shocking. And then I started researching in an area out close to where she was. I thought, that thing is out here, you know, I might as well be mindful of it. And I had seen prints that did not look Sasquatch to me, that looked more human, but in an area no human would dare go barefoot. No human would dare even be out there. I mean, unless you're armed with everything, you know, mosquitoes, ticks, you know, snakes. I mean, there was everything out there. You wouldn't be walking around barefoot. And I was just so baffled by these prints. I just kept staring and staring and staring. So I decided I was just going to start putting myself out there and try to figure it out. Well, I didn't have any luck for like a whole year. These things are so more evasive than anything else. They're really evasive. And I was at my mom's. It was snowing outside really bad earlier in the evening. It was ice cold, and the snow cleared off, and it was a bright full moon. And my dog wanted outside. She just wouldn't stop. It's like 2 a.m. She's just having a fit. And I'm like, okay. You know, it was one thing. We like to put them out like around 10 o'clock or whatever, go out there with them and then be done. You don't like opening your door at my mom's out into the back wild. It's just never produces anything good. So I open up that door to grab the leash, and I always flip on the spotlight first to try and warn the Sasquatch people that, hey, we're going to be popping out here. Don't walk up on you, because they can have bad startleization actions and stuff. And it's just a habit I was getting my mom into before I left, so that she could help with the fear factor that she had with them. And I was like, you just got to be respectful. You know, you give them respect, they'll show you respect. So I had that habit going on, and I flipped on the light and opened the door. And I thought, well, it snowed. They're not going to be up here close, because they usually don't come leave their prints in the snow for you. And so I just went to open the door. And when I opened the door, boom, on the top of the garage, back at the back of the property behind the house, which was probably about 10 yards away, on the roof, I see this white thing. And all I could think of was alien. It looked like an alien. I mean, but it was on its hands and feet, like on its toes, and it went up over the roof, and it was showing up so plain, because here I've got the spotlight on it. You got a full moon. I mean, it's on a black roof. I mean, it just popped, and I was just froze, and it moved like a spider over the top of the roof, and it popped its head back up and looked at me with this ridiculous eye shine. And I was like, okay, yeah, D, you can just go on the floor. You're not going outside tonight. We're not going out there. I just forget it. I didn't know what that thing was, and I didn't like the way it was looking back at me. Like, it was not intimidated by me at all. And so forget that. Then we go on into the summer, And I started researching in this area close to Indiana. And we had hiked in there a lot. And we'd seen some of those weird footprints that I told you about that don't line up with Sasquatch, but yet they're human looking. Well, I got back in there really deep, and we found a raccoon that had these prints all around the ground by it. And these prints were up on the balls of its feet and its toes. They really like to be on the balls of the feet and their toes. And the kill was a plug taken out of just below the sternum and between where the rib cage starts to separate. I offered up these pictures, but we figured YouTube would flag you guys and take them down because they're pretty gory. But there was a bite mark and a plug pulled out. The plug was nowhere. Now, what was displayed was extremely disturbing. You take every organ out. There was no veins left in this animal. There was no arteries left in this animal. But all its organs were laid out with the nerves still attached to them, like dental flosses, it's how it looks. That's what a nerve looks like. And they were laid out. The bladder was here. Kidney was here. It was a perfect layout of licking everything clean. Like there was no blood on the ground whatsoever. No blood anywhere. And even around the wound, it had been sucked. The hair had been sucked, and you could tell it was pink, like it was heavily bloody at one point. But whatever had done this had sucked the hair around it, getting every ounce of blood that it could. And not one drip of blood had hit the ground. Now, when I found this, it was only about 4 to 5 hours old because the fly larvae on it was just little white dots. It hadn't quite got to the rice size yet. So it was approximately 5 hours old. Really incredible to find that and then be seeing some of the same things at home. There would be a puncture mark in the neck of a squirrel, and the same thing, a plug would be taken out, and you would see all these organs laying beside it. And there's no blood, nothing.
That's so weird.
It's like a modern day vampire. So
yeah,
these things move like lightning. Dave was out one night. My daughter has a giant 4-wheel drive truck, and it's got blacked out windows and stuff. And we were having some major problems around the house. And so Dave decided he's going to sit outside in Cassie's truck and just like sit back and watch the house, see what cryptid is doing it, or is it people, or what are we dealing with, So he's sitting in the truck, and this solidifies where I could tie in the two, where you had black and white, because now he witnesses it too, and he sees it up close and personal with lights directly on it, and it doesn't know he's watching it. And it comes crawling around behind from the side of the house, and it goes right down the sidewalk, close to where she's parked. And when it goes over the sidewalk, its body camoed in with its backgrounds and surroundings. And David was just like, holy cow. And watching that thing move and how it moves so fast on its fingers and toes, it gave him the willies too. So he waited until it crossed our property and went behind a privacy fence, and he jumped out of the truck and come in. He goes, okay, I think I know what's bothering us, and I don't think we want to bother it back. So then that summer, I got a picture. No, not chupacabra. It's something entirely different than chupacabra. This thing looks human. They really do look human, void of any sexual parts. You can't tell if you're dealing with a female or a male. It has no hair on its body. If you want to pull up that picture I took off of a live, I was doing a live feed in my group, and some of my students were paying attention and said, Shel, span back towards the back side of your property there. I seen something coming up out of the ground. And when I come back, there it was halfway up out of the ground. And of course, I wasn't too far from the door, but I booked it in. And I was out there because I had found weird prints in the frozen ground. It didn't have, there it is coming up out of the ground. There's soft black, all that area right there has got some soft black ground, and I guess it was easy for them to go in and out, and it's kind of like a hill. It was really discerning to me that this thing is living that close to where I'm at. Really changed how we behaved with our animals and what we did and stuff. But yeah, that thing was coming and I got out of there.
That's wild.
And it would be a clearer picture, but like I said, it was a Facebook Live, and that was actually a screenshot one of my students took, because I wasn't stopping to take a picture. And you know that so many people will say, "Oh, well, you didn't encounter this or you didn't encounter that," to other people online, and it's like, if you're in the moment of fearing for your life, are you going to throw, just like this Miami thing with aliens? Do you think somebody's going to stop and take a picture if they're running for their life? No, it's not happening.
Yeah, no. Definitely not.
I'm not gonna. You know.
What are your thoughts on that whole thing there, that whole mall incident? Since you just brought that up.
Gosh, you know, it would be like, make me choose A, B, C, or D, all the above, because I think our government has some things to do with some things, but. You know, who knows? I mean, it's all speculation. It's all speculation. I mean, it very well could have happened. You know, I know for a fact aliens are real. I've showed you guys footages. Yeah. You've got pictures of my reptilian pictures up there. So they're real. They exist. There's no doubt about it. But did it happen? I don't know.
Now, I wonder if anyone's ever been found with these, like, puncture wounds you're speaking of, like actual people, or like, you know what I mean? I wonder about it all the time. And after seeing their kill and how meticulously, like, I don't know, they're kind of sadistic in a way.
So it's really nice to know. Is it nice to know when they're in your backyard? It's so wonderful. So
No.
This is a black one that I filmed, and one of the things I noticed is that you're talking about the kind of vampirical or parasitical nature of them. I noticed that they feed off the trees too, the life force of the trees. So this is one right here. You can see that there's the black head right there, and it's manifesting. There's his arm and there's some of his hands and all that. And then what happened?
Can you point that out again? Like,
this is his head.
I'm trying to find your cursor.
It's that black image right there. Let's see if we got a better one.
Kind of looks hairy.
It's because of its manifesting.
Oh, that's its head. Oh, okay. I see the whole head. You know what that reminds me of? Some of the reptilian pictures I've seen. That's what that reminds me of.
It does actually kind of have that. I see that too.
So this is what another one of his images popping out of the head. I know it's hard for people to believe this, but we're dealing with, like, basically poltergeist, ghosts, interdimensional beings, something of that nature. We're just placeholders.
I would say they're interdimensional because they definitely have a paranormal quality to them. The eye glow without any reflective eye source. You had pulled the picture up before and asked me to comment on it. I do believe that is a rake that was seen on that video clip you thought was mine, but it's not.
This is the one. So this is another one, the same one in the same area, but it moved, and it's got its mouth wrapped around this branch. You can see the round head of it, and of course it's not perfect because.
I kind of get that. Yeah.
I didn't realize it was eyes. I didn't realize it was filming a rake. So that's how I take it. Now, I could be wrong about that because everything is speculation on our part. We don't know definitely for sure about this stuff.
Their heads are roughly, I mean, they're not, their heads look like a human head. It doesn't look like a gray alien head where it's kind of bulbous and big. I mean, they really are proportion.
It's really looking reptilian-like to me. That this image that you have up there, when I keep looking at it, after you said that, I can't unsee that.
I got some other reptilian pictures I could show you guys. If you want to pop that one picture up I have of it, a reptilian, you could compare.
Yeah, we could do that. Let's go here. I have to see what it's not set up for that. You didn't have that set up for today, but I can do that. Give me a second. So,
I like that one.
Of course, you know, this is my opinion and how I take things. And if you people disagree, I understand completely. So, But one thing I've noticed about these things is they're very parasitical. They seem to, all these things have a relationship with the trees and the life force of the trees, from my experience. And
It's more of the earth. It's not just of the trees.
Elements everywhere, maybe.
The trees, from my filming, the trees are like the neurons of this world. They connect the underworld with the middle world and the upper world. And I'm finding these traveling up and down the trees like there's some kind of, like an elevator, if you will, some kind of a way that
could I throw some things into that mix that may make you think a little different, or may help you process your hypothesis there, or your theory? I've gotten pictures of Bigfoot when there are trees nowhere around. The picture of the Bigfoot hiding behind the bull. He's literally hiding behind that bull because there's no trees anywhere. So I've gotten a lot of interactions in an open field with nothing but a creek. And I'm like, okay, they're here. Hello. It's not like I take a picture or something of the trees and then I go back and try to play Find Waldo. That's not me. That's not how I do my research. And I definitely don't do a whole video of nothing.
It's what I do.
Go through that video and look.
Very few people that do what I do, and I have an immense amount of success. So,
I mean, everybody's got their own style. I want to see the being that I'm taking a photo of. I like to look at something and aim and shoot. That's where I'm probably a little different than most people.
Well, if you are that lucky, you actually see the being and take the picture.
That was aimed at and shot right there. That was
this picture. Hiding. This picture is something else, man. Look at that. That thing is creepy.
He was hiding in the trees from us, but yeah, you got good eyes.
What can you tell us about these? What can you tell us anything about the reptilians?
No comment.
I think no comment. Yeah, we don't want no beef.
Well, why not? What can't you talk about?
I know enough that I don't want to comment.
Okay, that's fair.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So
these are the last guys you want to tango with. I can tell you that. These are the guys that
I don't doubt that for 1 minute.
That probably are ruling our universe right now. You don't want to mess with this.
I swear to God, there's one right here too. There's something going on right here.
Mm-hmm.
Like eyes and a nose and mouth.
So I have other pictures of them. I give you a little sample of all my work. I can share with you guys again more stuff, where you can look hard. I've got a picture of one of them standing next to a gray alien. I literally, in that photo, I literally felt something, and I stopped the car in the middle of the road, and I put the window down, and all I had was my cell phone. I was literally just taking a trip to the bank and back home, and I was like, there's something there. I just feel it. Took a picture and couldn't believe it when I got home and looked at it because I had to get back on the road. I'm on the highway, but it was literally standing right there. And it's those kind of encounters that make you go, was that meant to happen? Was I meant to see that? Was that for me? Why were they standing there right on the edge of in the trees, looking out at me, plain as day? I mean, you got especially the gray. I mean, there was no hiding him. The sun was right on him, and it was reflected in his black eyes. I mean, it's incredibly creepy. But I don't care for the whole alien aspect of any of this. And one of the things that people ask me a lot is Bigfoot and UFOs connected. Well, I will say this. I've been out with a tripod going and literally getting the best footage of UFOs I've ever seen in my life. It was incredible. And the Bigfoot had been all around. I could hear them yelling, and I could, hear them doing their thing. And I just kind of let them be. And that's kind of how I do things. I just be, and I let them just be. I don't invade on them. If I'm invited to a conversation with them, okay, then I'm interacting with them, but I don't push myself. So I'm out there and I'm getting this footage, and all of a sudden this thing starts getting closer and closer and closer, and all the Bigfoot went completely silent. There was not a noise anywhere. And I'm out there and I'm feeling creepier than ever getting this footage all by myself, 3 o'clock in the morning, middle of the night, middle of nowhere. And I start
A little creepy.
I'm like, that thing's getting really close. And where did my Bigfoot people go? Where are they? You know, so I was like, okay, I grabbed the tripod and everything, and I'm like, okay, I'm taking off. And I fell. I was trying to go so hard that I fell, and I literally broke my glasses and everything. It was terrible. And then I went into my mom's house, and I told my mom, I said, you're not gonna believe the footage that I got. So I start showing her, and she says, is it still out there? And I said, yeah, you could see it from here. And we went out there, and it disappeared as we're standing there watching it. And my mom's standing next to me, and you could hear all the Bigfoot people like start celebrating. Like they were celebrating it was gone. Like they were happy about it. They weren't quiet anymore. And I was like, wow. And then I was in Iowa and encountered a situation with a black triangle, and it was right over the Bigfoot area, right over where we were researching heavy duty. And the Bigfoot all started yelling, like they were like mad about something. And you could see in the night, the moon like hitting it, and it looked like a Bigfoot getting taken up into this craft. Like it was frozen and like it was getting pulled up, and all the Bigfoot were like yelling, like they were mad about it. And I was like, oh my God, did they get abducted too? You know, that's a question. And then moving on, at home, I was out just gonna, I am a photographer. I like to take pictures and get competitions. It was a full moon. I thought, oh my, I'm gonna get a good shot of that over the trees with the clouds. It's gonna work. And I'm all set up to do that. And what I couldn't see to the naked eye shows up in my camera, and there's a UFO there. And right as it, and it's like coming right at me. And all of a sudden, Bigfoot starts running out of the trees, and I got a shot of a Bigfoot running across the neighbor's yard. Like they were running from this. So I'm not so sure they're connected in a good way. And if they are connected, maybe they have, some agreements with certain beings or something, because I do believe they are interdimensional.
Seem to be. I mean,
so that's my take on Bigfoot. That's my take on Bigfoot and UFOs. And I think I told you guys a story. We were coming back from a little trip back home, and we were watching this UFO in the sky for the longest time. And it's getting closer, and then all of a sudden it came out of the sky and hit the road in front of me, and it scraped the road, and it made all kinds of sparks fly, and it shot up into this field, like right next to us over this field. And I went out there the next day, and I got pictures of the footage and everything, and I took it to MUFON, and I gave them, everything. But when I turned down this road to get a little closer, because it's over this one field, it was like a vacant road. I go down there, and there's no forest, anything around. Now you got sporadic creeks, but it's all cornfields and bean fields. And this was in just like July, so it would have been directly in the time when you had a lot of growth. There's a bean field, and I hopped out of the vehicle, and I was anchored on the door trying to get a picture of the UFO, or trying to get a video of it actually. And a Bigfoot is coming across that bean field, and he's yelling, "No, go, no, go." And my mom completely freaks out. She's like, "What is that?" Because, they talk like they got a harmonica in their voice, and it's big and it's loud and it's got lungs to it, and she's like, "What is that? Go, 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 go." I was like, "It's a Bigfoot. I don't know what his problem is. I'll move you." So I get in the car and I drive down the road about 1.5 miles, pull it back over, start to take a video of that thing again. And there's this Bigfoot. He's already at the back of the vehicle. Like he came with us. Like he's right there. And he's going, "No, go." And I'm like, okay, I don't have to be told a third time. Something's really not cool here. So yeah, I went. So why are they warning me to get away from and not take footage of a UFO?
The Bigfoot warning you to not do it. Is that what you said?
Yeah, it was telling me to go. No, go. And, they have a lot of broken English, but they do speak a lot of our words, especially something they know we'll understand.
I've heard that before, for sure. I've always heard that they kind of like pick up off of areas that they are, like the areas that they're in. You know, like certain the people that live in those areas that they kind of take words here and there.
Yeah. If there's any habituator out there that are listening, please friend me on Facebook, and get in
Yes,
touch with me about
share your
this
stuff.
topic, because I would really like to hear what your take is on it, and what your experiences are on it.
Can you share your YouTube channel with everybody? Just kind of because there was Seekers was asking actually for your stuff,
Um,
so maybe you can just tell everybody right now.
you just go to Whisper Walkers and Shel Dion. It'll pop up.
Hmm. There you
So
go.
that'll be the YouTube. I don't put much on YouTube. You'll find me more and more of my work on TikTok, and you'll have to
Hmm.
weed through some stuff on there, but there's cryptid stuff all throughout that. There's even some giants. I took some pictures of a giant in comparison. Um, I've got all kinds of stuff. You just have to go look. Finding me on Facebook and actually speaking to me is probably the best way to see anything out of me.
Perfect.
So, any questions on the rake? Because I'm about to drop that topic.
O.R.D, do you have anything? Any questions on the rake? I think he might have walked away for a moment.
Okay, well,
Um,
there's nobody in chat that had any questions. That's what I was,
anybody out there have questions for the rake? Like, are all interactions with them like negative for sure? Is
Yeah,
anybody like?
I was filled with fear when I'm a person that doesn't lead
Hmm.
with fear. I feel that judgment only clouds one's own true reality. So I try not to judge anything until I'm in that moment. But I was filled with fear each time. I'd rather face Dogman any day. I'll play with Dogman over the rake. And everybody's
No
terrified
shit.
of Dogman, but I don't seem to have a problem with them. I've got a lot of footage, and I seem to work among them. David, he's my partner in all of this, and he's the same
Is
way.
that
He
is
has
that
no
the
problem.
David in the chat tonight?
No, that's
Is that
you're.
that's
No,
different David?
David's not. David's sitting next to me, actually listening.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, the David in the chat is a friend and a member of my group, actually. I've
Okay.
seen a
Cool.
documentary where they mentioned UFO sightings occurred a lot of times, would occur with Bigfoot sightings in and around them. Yes, there's definitely, and I have more, occurrences, but they weren't as big and, popped out, as a big encounter with UFOs and Dogmen and UFOs and Bigfoot. So that's why I just kind of dropped it where I was at. Can it be killed? Yeah, you can put a gun to its head.
Can
I'm
everything be
assuming.
killed? That's the thing.
I'm
Are all
assuming
these
put a
beings
gun to
able to
its head.
drop?
I mean,
We
these
don't want
things
that to
look
happen. I don't even want to talk about
these.
that.
Well, yeah, these things look human, and their physique is human, and the skull and everything looks humanoid. I would think that would be its weakness.
So, do they eat humans? That's the Dogman's Confessions question.
Do dogmen eat humans?
I think we're
I
talking about
think.
the rake still.
Oh, okay. Dogman Confessions is the one that asked it. Okay. I have no knowledge of it, and there's so much missing 411. I do think that they could be involved in a lot of those cases. I think there's so much out there when it comes to the 411 and Pilates, interviews and stuff that he puts out. Wow. I mean, everything
Hmm.
that I've learned out there, there's so many beings, and I think that I like, I can't say nothing else. It's not going to be, next thing is cat people. We're going to be talking about cat creatures. Did I ever that existed? Not until I seen it. I'm a person, and I'll admit this, back when everybody was talking Dogman, I'd had hearing experiences, but I had never seen one. And once I have seen it, I can believe it. And I'm just kind of one of those people. And unfortunate that I keep running into all these kinds of things in the field when I'm just really all about Sasquatch. I love the Sasquatch people, but all this other stuff comes on your platter, and you got to take heed to it, and you got to figure it out, and you got to know what it is and how it's going to react to you, because it's your safety. If you're throwing yourself out there in the night and all day and all night like I used to, it's a safety protocol to know your surroundings and know what these creatures are.
Now,
Mr.
someone
Liddy
asked, I think it was Pink Grandma. She said, "Do you know what a rake is? Like, what are they?"
Yeah. What? The
No,
heck
I
are
don't. I think there's some. I think they're a terrain-dwelling extraterrestrial, if that makes any sense.
That's a good term, I'd say. I like it.
What's when you say extraterrestrial? What do you mean by that?
Well,
Terrestrial,
if you look up extraterrestrial, it doesn't coincide with alien or what media has made it. Extraterrestrial means that it's something that's really not discovered, and it's on our terrain, and it's in our area. It's definitely, these things seem to be ground dwelling.
So do you think they're interdimensional though, or flesh and blood?
When you look at the abilities of the speed that they can move at, and then you look at the whole camo of its body in the night, I don't know. I have to lean towards it's like with everything else, it's interdimensional.
Right. I mean, from my experience, they manifest out of the trees.
No.
They
Right.
manifest on the ground. So
Dogman Confessions
any-
is asking a question I really want to address. He's
Yes.
asking what I think of
just gonna ask that.
skinwalkers. Okay, so this is a huge topic for me, skinwalkers, because Native American folklore, that is skinwalker. Okay, where you're going to find skinwalkers is where there is a black or dark element of witchcraft among the Native peoples, specifically the Northwest, Navajo and Comanche, also Apache, all that's in the Southwest. Comanches, it's all out there. It doesn't, I'm in the Midwest, and I've been all over the Midwest. I've been all over this country. I haven't researched in every single state, but a lot of it. And I'm going to tell you, I have never run across what I would deem a skinwalker. I really get annoyed that all these videos are popping up on YouTube and they're saying skinwalker, skinwalker, skinwalker. And I was like, you guys wouldn't know skinwalker if it jumped up and bit you in the butt. I mean, really. Most of the time, what they're labeling skinwalker is easily explained as to something else, and I'm just shaking my head. No, I've never come in contact with a skinwalker. I don't want to either.
What does a skinwalker?
I don't blame you.
What does a skinwalker look like?
Well, from what I understand, listening to a lot of J.C. Johnson's interviews of people that were stalked by them or whatever, they will literally take on various animal forms, so they won't have one particular animal about themselves. They'll have like a variance. And you could literally be sitting, and this is a quote from JC, you could be sitting in church next to one on Sunday, and that night it could be terrorizing the whole village. So, the skinwalkers, they're extremely, like somebody just said, they are extremely rare. That I have never encountered a skinwalker.
A question about a rake now. I got a question myself. Like, how big is a rake? When people see these things, like how big are they? I know they're very weird in how they move, but like, do they get tall, like really big?
Yeah, some of them can be thicker, more muscular, and I don't think they get real tall. The black one that I have standing was about 6 foot. I don't think and all the ones that I've seen, and I probably on two hands count the times that I've seen them, I have not seen one giantly tall. They just seem to be like an average person size.
A rake.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've seen at least.
And you can't tell what's female or male. I mean, it may be a smaller one. You don't know if it's a juvenile. You don't know if it's a female. It doesn't have any sex.
Seen a rake? How many times have you seen a rake?
On two hands, I could say I've seen them about
6, 8, 9, 10. What?
Yeah, I would say about
to see one.
8 or 9 times I've seen them, enough to be in great fear of them.
Wow. That's interesting. So where are they usually found when you see these things? Where are they normally found?
Within a 30-mile radius where I live is where I've seen them all. And I definitely plan on leaving here. No, right on the edge of town. The one come out of a field, you know, and then the one where I was going out to the towards the river, it came off of a farm behind the farm, and it was nothing but field. About 6 blocks away, there was the trees and everything. You know, you get into, you know, what's along the river, and it opened up to woods. On the right side of the road, there was woods that went along the road, and then there was a field beyond that. So it came out of one field behind a farmhouse, jumped in the trees and into the next field there. It was relatively close to the forest.
Do rakes leave like signs, like footprints or something?
Yeah, the footprint will look human, and they do go up on the balls of their feet and their toes a lot. And it doesn't look like a child footprint. It looks like an adult on their balls of their feet and toes, and it's kind of weird.
Pink has a Sasquatch question she wants to ask. Yes, feel free to ask.
Okay.
She'd be happy to answer. Let's see what she has to say.
Okay, Pink, go for it. I'll keep watching.
Someone had a question. The difference between dogmen and wolf people.
Okay, that's a lovely question, because the wolf creatures tend to hang with the Sasquatch. They have straight legs like a human. They basically have a Sasquatch body with a wolf head on it. It's all hair. Their faces are hairy. Typically, they're all black. Every now and then you'll find a female that looks like a red wolf or a gray wolf. They're usually deemed leaders. There's something special about that. I'm reading her comments. Okay, yeah, I will touch on that just a second. So the wolf creature is very benevolent. No problems with them. I had one bad encounter, and the Sasquatch were having a problem with the same one, and they kind of kicked him away and got rid of him. They will go to war with the Sasquatch against a dogman. I've literally seen them get tore up just by a dogman with the Sasquatch, you know, defending them. And so they tend to take the side of Sasquatch. Not every dogman is going to be nasty. I mean, there have been dogmen that have run with the Sasquatch and been completely cool. What are the differences? I don't know. I don't get it. I just could never get that answer. The dogmen have usually, well, always, they have these great big muscular thighs and bent legs that look like a frog. It's a canine foot, where the wolf creature has more of a Sasquatch foot, 3 toes, pointed print, very, like, it's got heavy duty claws on it. I've shared pictures of that with you guys.
No. Okay.
They have a mid-tarsal break, just like the Sasquatch. I have a picture of the bottom of one of their foot is sitting on the ground, and it's got his feet crossed. And I got a picture of the bottom of his foot. That's how I knew for sure that print belonged to a wolf creature. When you talk dogman, the prints are definitely canine. I've casted one that was 11 inches by 12, true giant. He was literally stalking us while we were casting that print. So he come with the message that night. He came back with the message, "Do not take my prints." He was, very nasty about it. And I just, I can't say enough that people out there are listening to these types and these groups. Oh, that's type 1. Oh, that's type 2. Flush it. It was created by a person that does not actually research, has not actually seen these things, and don't even know what the differences are, and puts them all under one umbrella that they're nasty and mean. That's not the case. Like I said, wolf creatures can be a very benevolent, kind entity that hangs with Sasquatch, stays to themselves,
They don't interact with us much, but when we're around them, they're completely fine. Their young will come right up to the edge of the trees and watch my dogs in the backyard. Like they just want to play so bad, but they won't. Okay, she just hit on something important. The dogman roaming with Sasquatch. Some suspect that it's the same shapeshifter that she's seen Sasquatch tracks shift to dogman tracks. No, I have not seen them shift the tracks. No, I don't believe that dogman or Sasquatch is a shapeshifter. Not at all. And there are various different types of dogmen. There are interdimensional things. There's things created by the government. There's things that are natural to this earth. And somehow everybody sees canine and lumps it under the same umbrella. And there's definitely two different beings out there. And then once you get those separated, then you have the types of dogman, which I've got photos of hyenas. I've had mastiffs. I've seen them look like Rottweilers. I've seen them look like Dobermans. I mean, they are a variety. German Shepherds, Huskies, different sizes. Some of these things are true giants, just true big killing machines. So there you go. That's my take on Sasquatch, dogman, and wolf creature. There's something out there that people are seeing with Sasquatch and they don't know how to identify it, and they're calling it a dogman, and they're screwing up. I see it in group after group after group. Somebody put up a picture and there's dogman with Sasquatch, and I'm looking clearly at a face that has hair on it and a black as night, and I'm going, it's a wolf creature, you know. It's really a nice being. Now, dogman usually never has hair on their face. They usually don't.
My mic was muted. Sorry, guys. There was a question here that said, does she suspect the rakes are guarding something and not randomly manifesting?
I don't know where I've seen them. I don't know what they'd be guarding. I mean, there's nothing to guard in my backyard. I mean, there's nothing to guard out there in an open field. The places that I've encountered their kills, there's nothing for them to be protecting. There's Sasquatch that's in the area, wolf creatures in the area. I've never seen a dogman in the area, but I did see a rake in that area. So, you know, it varies. It's the research on that is early. Like I said, these things are extremely rare. They're hard to come up with. They're hard to get a visual on them. It's just, it's a slow go. It's not as quick and easy as Sasquatch has been, that's for sure.
So what does that mean, have a super sticker there?
So somebody just sent me a super sticker, $6.99. Thank you so much, Len. Thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. You're the first person who's ever gifted me.
I don't know anything about Otterman. I have strange pictures of an owl man, a bat creature. I have a frog man, if you will. But no, I've never seen anything like an Otterman. I can't hear you, Jared.
Right now? Hello? Hello?
Okay.
We can hear you now. You're muted.
Okay. Let's see.
I already answered that. No, they do not shapeshift, in my opinion.
I've been to Shel's where she lives. It's a lot of farmland. Looking for questions here.
Okay. I can't see them all, so you want to help me?
How do you send a sticker, Lavelle? That's on YouTube. You got to go to the YouTube channel and watch us on the YouTube. That's how you send stickers, and you can become a team member and support Sasquatch Confessions and Friends.
Somebody asked what my opinion on Wendigo is. Once again, that's something that's Native American in nature and derived from folklore of Native Americans. And supposedly it's something that when a nasty or black magic like witch doctor loses his life, he goes into this being and it keeps it going, but it has to feed, supposedly has to be like a cannibal and feed on human to maintain that form. So that's what I know of Wendigo. No, I've never had any encounters with it. I've heard of people that have. That's all I can say.
Okay.
I filmed it.
Yes, you did. I've seen it. It's definitely a Wendigo.
Yep.
You have pictures of an elephant type man? Is that Peter who just made that comment? Have you heard of this?
Yeah, I have. Those are called Darrows or Narrows. They're a type of alien. Yes, I did get a picture. I don't no longer own the picture.
Is there any relation to like Ganesh and like those?
I don't know.
Stories?
I don't know anything about the being. I just know that it showed up in my photograph. I talked with you guys remember Brenton Sawin that passed away. He had narrow encounters. I showed him the picture. He's the one I identified it and said, yes, that's what he was familiar with. That's what he had seen. And it's the only time I had gotten a picture of one, and I didn't dabble in it. Supposedly they're like some type of alien or something. I don't.
So this is a window I filmed last spring, popping off a tree.
I can see him yet. Oh, it's creepy looking, man.
Head, his horns.
Big horn, big hand coming around the tree.
See his claws. Yeah, I didn't feel threatened by it. I filmed it. Nothing happened.
I don't think everything is out there is really out to hurt us. I think that just respect is the key. And if you want to learn, you have to have a good gut instinct, because it's going to tell you whether to roll or to go. You know, you just, it's a gut instinct thing. You know, I can be feeling fine and interacting with some of these things and getting some footage, and then all of a sudden it starts feeling really negative or bad, and I'm just like, okay, I'm out of here. What's my opinion on who designed these creatures? Now, when you say these creatures, not sure what you're talking about, but I did touch on the dog man being created. I definitely think, and it's a long story I'm not going to go into, but you can contact me separate if you guys want to hear it. But yes, the government had its hand in creating some of those.
So do we have any evidence for that?
Eyewitness that worked in a lab that created them.
Who did?
It's not my story.
Oh, you say you know of an eyewitness that claims that? Yeah,
that was a biomechanical engineer that was actually working on that. Gray aliens were involved, and our government, and it was a really bad thing, a bad situation. He's still in hiding. He contacted me when I guess my stories went out there about dogmen. He was like, you need to know something about these creatures that are different than some of the other ones you'll be in touch with. So
they want to know why you're not on YouTube. Why aren't you doing stuff on YouTube?
Because I actually am in the field doing research. I'm not the armchair player.
Well, you can do both. I do both.
I do both.
Good for you. I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. If you know, I'm just not the one out there playing, you know, on social media. I'm out there getting it done.
Likewise.
Yep.
Made for war.
Everyone has their own.
No, I don't know. I don't know about that one.
Somebody else had a question. Sheep squash. I knew it. Okay, they could see your eyes, see them as something else. Okay, I think they can either shapeshift or cause our eyes to see them as something else. Now that's a topic right there. I literally do think that the Sasquatch, for definite, have the power to make you see something else if they don't want to be seen. And I've had that happen a couple of times, and I had a student that it happened to them. But they can literally, make you see one thing when you thought you were seeing something else, and it just automatically changes on you, and you're like, what? So they do have the power to do that. I don't think they're changing. I don't think they're shape-shifting.
I heard that, literally, I've heard this from somebody's experience. They told me, like, they were with their buddy, and one guy seen the Sasquatch, and one guy seen a freaking dog. Literally, like the Sasquatch didn't show himself to the other person. The guy seen a freaking dog.
Right. And that's what I was talking about.
Straight up walk across the path.
That's exactly what I was talking about. I was with somebody where I seen the Sasquatch, and they said, "Did you see the gray wolf?" And I'm like, gray wolf, and then they start describing it. I said, that sounds more like a fox. They were like, yeah, kind of like a fox. And I'm like, no, I seen a Sasquatch walk right across the path in front of us, though. And they're like, where? They seen like a gray fox, which a gray fox is really rare because they're almost extinct.
Oh, yeah. They specialize in deception.
They can if they don't want you to know. If they, Okay, what you just put up there is a juvenile cat creature. These guys have a particular time of year, cat people, very benevolent, would rather deal with them than any other critter out there because they're just so friendly and so nice. Supposedly they're like ninth dimensional. They're like even like above the Sasquatch. Like the Sasquatch bow down to them. They're like, oh yes, love those people. For whatever reason, they pick the end of May and will hang out till about June, and then they vamos. You don't see them again. So I don't know why every year it's the, late spring that they happen to show up and then they're gone.
Now, how did you find out about them being like ninth dimensional beings? Did like Sasquatch tell you, or did they tell you themselves?
They did.
Oh.
And they were telepathic, and it really kind of freaked me out when that happened. And so they were new on my plate. I didn't know much about them. I consulted with the Sasquatch. Are these guys friendly? Are they? I mean, because they're terrifyingly huge. The males are. And they're very intimidating. I mean, to look at, they're pretty intimidating. I mean, you talk about dog man. That's one thing. I could take on my Great Dane dog, and okay, it's a dog, but a cat, you're talking claws, teeth from, the depths of it.
Wish my people sent me some love. My gosh. Put all the energy in. You guys get so.
I've been researching.
What's interesting about this, I want to question is, it seems, I don't know if it's true or not, but do you think that women or female humans have a more tendency to film or interact with cat people by chance?
No, because they actually had approached David first. So no, I don't think that at all. And they would show themselves to us, and I would get the pictures. This is a cell phone picture I took out of my kitchen window from like way out. Flip onto some of the other cat people pictures, and there's some good ones in there I gave you.
I've never filmed one or.
Look at the eyes. Look at the eyes on that, guys. This is not filtered. This is not edited. Those are freaking eyes, guys.
I'm not seeing it.
Look at this.
Which picture have you put up?
It's a big cat face, two glowing green eyes.
Yeah.
That says a cat person or the people. That's what
they were blue. That particular one had blue eyes. There's two pictures of him, 2 different days. Okay, I got a picture of him. And his eye slits were really strange. Like he was looking into the sun. Once again, I was sneaking the pictures out of my kitchen window because these guys are really evasive. I mean, they're hard to get to.
The eyes almost remind me of orbs. Yeah, they're like orbs.
They do.
If you go on to the next picture, their eyes will move just like your domesticated cats. They'll go to a round pupil. I sent you some pictures of that.
This is another one of cat people, right?
It's a great pictures, man. Great pictures.
Thank you. That one.
Oh wow, this guy, is that Big Daddy?
That's Big Daddy, and he was about 15 feet tall. Now that like post that's by him was an old Texaco post, and I measured it, and it's 10 inches by 10 inches by 10 inches by 10 inches. It goes like 180 feet up in the air. Is how big that was, and it was just the post still there on concrete, and the woods that grew up around it. But he was just so massive. And if you don't believe in fairies, there's actually a fairy floating around his head and some little ones on his shoulder there.
I can see it. I remember this picture.
Yeah, it blew me away. His eyes were actually such a light green, like a grayish green color. It didn't really come through on the photo. It was taken at a distance with the 50 millimeter lens. I didn't have a 300 millimeter lens on that day. I wasn't even out there to research. I just seen him, And I went in, grabbed the camera, and went right back, peeked around the house, and took a picture of him.
Holy moly! I'm raking in the bucks tonight, guys.
So what is this entity? Is there an entity on top of it right here? There needs to be something going on. Is that something there?
That's a fairy. Or those are little people.
There's a fairy around its head.
I see an eye here, and a nose right here, and there's like a mouth.
Well, no, it does look like there's a Sasquatch up at the upper top right. That could have been a juvenile up in the tree. But that's the tree there. There's like a tree bark behind them. Like that's tree bark right there. That it just simulates like a face, like pareidoia. That's nothing there. But up in the very corner, I do see something that looks like Sasquatch face or something. But I try to just focus on when I take a photo, I dead center it. That's what I'm taking a picture of. I try to go for the clearest, most obvious thing in a photo and just kind of let the rest go.
So did you see these when you filmed them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, naked eye. That's why I wouldn't grab my camera. I ran to the house and grabbed
huge.
it. It was a
gigantic.
Nikon. Yeah.
So when you saw them, I mean, what gave it away? Were they moving around? What were they doing?
His eyes. The sun was like reflecting off his eyes, and they were gorgeous, and I could see him right away. I mean, he was huge. He was like 15 feet tall, and he's standing right there at the edge by this sign that there's a tree behind it, and there's a sign, and there's all this growth that comes up. There's like elderberry bushes and stuff right there, and his head was just sticking over the top. I mean, it was very obvious.
Okay.
Trying to find Pink's question.
If you could go on to the next photo, there's some photos I gave you I want to talk about.
This one right here?
No, that's the guy with blue eyes. That's his whole body. I got that like the next day after the first picture. One of them was before the other, but he was back and I got to see his body. His tail kind of curled up behind him. No, go on to the next.
Pink Grandma.
Go on to the next.
Pink Grandma wants to know about calling Sasquatch. We haven't talked about that yet. The previous one, she had a question about that.
She talked about that's a baby cat right there. Is a baby. Was down in the bushes and making all kinds of noise, and I got it. Now these guys, weirdness at its best. There's another one that's got cat eyes that look the same, so I wonder if this is a cat being of some kind. But I wasn't sure, and it definitely had a wolf creature with it with glowing eyes up there on the top. And then someone else had some eyes going on there. I don't know. You can see its hand. I don't know. That one was weird. But the next picture should be one that's got the same eyes, and it might be the same creature, but it was taken at different times. I don't know Paul Hellier. While we're looking at the pictures, if you want to go on to the next, I'll answer her question about gifting. I learned the hard way about food and Sasquatch. And this is my favorite picture. I actually took this with the Sony E6000 300 millimeter lens. It was about a 1/4 mile shot. And I could see something black there. And that's a really good cat people picture. With giving any of these beings treats of some kind, it's not. No, I have pictures of an owl people. Owl people look like owls. Giving Sasquatch or anything food that doesn't need you giving it food is going to get you in trouble.
Now, why?
Well, I'm getting ready to tell you a story.
All right, let's hear it.
Okay. So I had a brand new Durango, 4x4 Durango. And I'd come home, I'm at my mom's with her, trying to help her with all this fear and stuff. And it was a really rainy night, and I'd gone to the grocery store, and I forgot a half a case of Pepsi in the back of my vehicle. And I hadn't hit lock on anything. I was focused on getting out of the rain and getting in the house. And I forgot the Pepsi. The next day, we're actually making dinner, and I go to get a Pepsi, and I'm like, Mom, I thought I bought Pepsi. And she's like, you might have forgot it in the car. I went out to my Durango, and my whole back end of the Durango was literally destroyed. Pepsi cans everywhere. They had been up in the back on the third row seat, completely bent it in half. It could never be lifted again. Then they thought that it was there once, and they would shut the hatch so hard that the steel hook on the inside kept bent, and I'd go down the road and it'd be vibrating and my dome light would be going on and off. Luckily, the ex-husband owned a body shop, and I kept taking it to him, and he's like, I don't know what you're doing to this vehicle, but you're really tearing it apart. He says, do you have to slam it so hard when you shut it? I'm like, I'm not. I'm just letting it shut itself. And, you know, it was arguments that went nowhere. So long story short, that whole summer, they continued to think that I had treats in the car for them. So I'm telling my daughter, please take your toys in. Please take your food in. You know, she was like 6, 7 years old at the time. And she was prone to leaving stuff in the car. This literally cost me my vehicle. They damaged it so much. The rear view mirror would get ripped off. I mean, when I was asleep, they would have a heyday with my car, all in the search of treats. It's not good. And then
because of the gifting of the food and
they thought it was a gift, and it was not a gift. Now, early on, I left them. I had a pickle jar that I used to put in the fork of a tree that had monkey bites in it and some Rice Krispie treats and stuff like that. And they were coming and they were taking out of it, and I was stealing the DNA off the top because they were chewing and letting their food fall on the lid as they were closing it back up. So that was really cool for sending DNA in. But then I just learned that anything they get turned on to, it'll become a problem. We were having a Christmas meal. My mom, it was warm out. It was like 50 degrees that Christmas. So we put a cooler out on the back deck, and she said she put like half cases of pop, all different colors and flavors. And she said, Shel, why don't you start handing out the pop? It's out, you know, it's been on ice. It's getting nice and cold, you know, hand it out. So I went out there, I opened the door and I started asking, what do you want? What do you want? And, you know, I opened up the cooler. Everything was gone. It had been out there about 35, 40 minutes.
That's it.
Yeah, they took everything. So they've really got a liking for pop. And so I just learned that you can't give them anything or let them even think that you're giving them something, because they'll just keep coming and keep taking. And they are bigger than us, and they will tear up your stuff. And I don't even think they're intending to. It just happens. The other thing is, I've known situations of people that were habituating, and they start coming in their house and looking for things, coming in their refrigerator. When I first moved here, I had an apple tree out back at the time before a tornado took it out. And it was kind of an older tree, and it was producing a lot of fruit. And I just don't have time to go out there and just keep picking up fruit off the ground. I'm just not going to do it. And I said to the people, the Sasquatch, I said, hey, everything that this tree produces is yours. Just please do me a favor and don't let it get on the ground, because when we're mowing, we don't need to trip and hurt our legs or something. So you guys can just have it. I literally went out the next day, and that tree was picked clear, and there was just one beautiful red apple hanging like eye level. Like, they won't take all of something. They want to leave you just one, you know. So that was pretty cool. But other than that, if I'm going to gift them, I get to know them first. I interact with them in some other ways. And then I would bring them twine. They love twine because it's something they used to steal out of the horse barn. So I knew they used it. So giving them twine is appreciated. No, I didn't set up a trail cam. Back in the day, I just got divorced, and we're talking, this is 20 years ago, and I didn't have the money for trail cams and stuff. I was just going by the skin of my pants, really. So, anyway, twine, brushes. I can never keep brushes. They're always stealing brushes. They steal brushes out of the car. They steal brushes everywhere. I mean, you set down a brush, it's gone. So I would always take them brushes of various different sizes and stuff. They know, like, a big fat comb that could get through rats, like when you're combing your hair. I've left those out and they take them. I don't specifically have like a gifting area. I don't believe in that. To me, it's too much like worship and weirdness. I would just randomly leave it sit on the picnic table or set something down on the wall and walk away and leave it like that if I'm going to gift them. I'm just not into supporting something that's used to living out there, doesn't need me to exist with it. You're getting too friendly when you start going there, and it's not been a good thing in my experience. Paper plate had a face poked into it, tucked under the mat so it wouldn't blow away. Cool. Yeah, there's been instances where you can't help what they've done. They've just taken or whatever, but purposely leaving them food, I don't think it's a good idea. For one, they have entirely different digestive tracts that may or may not be used to what we're eating. And if it's not, could you make one of them sick? And how are they going to view you when you come back? Are you going to live through it? What if one of their little ones ate something you had and ate a poison berry you didn't know about at the same time and it died? Now you're going to be blamed for that. You really want to go out there and play them? It's just not good.
No. I agree. I mean, I get what you're saying for sure.
I think the closest thing I would come to gifting them would be gifting them experiences. Like taking glow sticks and putting them in a water bottle. One of my sons did that. So I tried it, and it was, oh my God, it was so much fun. You put it out there and, set it out on a rock or something, and you pick colors that are good, like red, no, orange, no. Stick to the pastellos, blue, purple, green, that kind. And you put them in the water bottles at night, go out there, set them up, and then sit back with binoculars and wait. And pretty soon, you're going to have a show. I mean, they will go up there, they'll be moving like a big one will come up first and check it out. And then the little ones will come up and they'll be moving their hands around it. It's a crystal ball or something. It was like, then they'll hit it real fast and knock it over. And the big one would pick it up and he'd let the next one come. And then after they'd all had their chance to look at it, pretty soon it becomes like they're throwing them across the forest back and forth, these bottles, and you're seeing these bottles fly around. It's kind of a fun thing to do. That's the kind of action that I look for. I'm not the one out there gifting them and expecting them to bring me rocks and sticks back.
Hey, they've done it with me, right? They started it with me, right?
Have they gifted me anything? Yes, they have gifted me a lot of things over the years. I've had all kinds of really cool gifts from them. One time I was decorating my kitchen and I was up stenciling grapes on my kitchen and stuff, and I love grapes. And I'd said to my mom, I was on the phone, and she says, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I've got the windows open and everything." I said, "I can hear Sasquatch out moving by the windows." And we're talking. She's like, "So what are you doing?" And I said, "I'm stenciling grapes on the wall." And the next day on the back porch was this concrete basket that had grapes all around it and something you put flowers in, like you plant. And they brought that, I don't know where they stole it from. They brought it and put it on my back porch. Like, this is a great place to put this at your entrance of your, and so they things like that.
Now, do the Sasquatch mimic like owls or owl sounds? David had a question.
Yes. It's really hard to determine if it's an owl or them. You really have to pay attention to the behavior of the sound and how the sound moves and where it goes and stuff. Otherwise, it could just be an owl up in the tree and you'd never know the difference. They mimic just about anything and everything. We would have the windows open and they'll come up to the window and they'll yell Shel through the house. And I will swear that it was my mom, and my mom lives a mile away, and I'll call her and she's just, half asleep or something. And I'm like, okay, I just heard your voice yell through the house, Shel, and it sounds just like her.
Has she seen weird bites on apples that have fallen on the ground, then more bites after leaving for a bit and coming back?
I never seen an apple hit the ground here. They always took them before they started coming down. Not the apples, but tomatoes out of the garden have bites taken out of them. Some gourds I had out with some pumpkins had huge big bites taken out of them. That got sent off for DNA. Because where it was at, you had to have an opposable thumb to get in the screen door and get to them. So,
How much did that cost to have that run for a DNA test?
it didn't. What cost me was freeze it and stuff like that, and mailing it. I was sending stuff to Melba Ketchum.
Oh.
Any more questions?
Have you talked to her recently, Melba Ketchum?
No, I haven't. I haven't talked to her for a few years. Quite a few years now.
Do you think they are omnivores?
Yeah, they definitely are. They're definitely opportunists. I mean, I've seen them eat deer. I've seen them catch deer. I've seen them eating stuff out of my garden. I've got a picture of one of them chewing down on a green pepper. It was like the only green pepper left. I went out there to get it and looked up, and here he is taking a bite out of it. Okay, well, I'm going to use my cell phone to get a picture of you then. So I did.
So what do they do with the animal carcasses? What do they do with it? What do they do with the bone?
True, Justin.
When I was doing my documentary, that one picture of the Sasquatch face that's up close that you guys show, you can see the light reflected in his eyes, and David standing there taking the picture. That was actually by a kill zone. And I talked about this in the part 1, where you usually find a hovering X and then somewhere close, start looking for it. And you could literally tell, like, where one will sit in the middle. I call him the butcher, for lack of a better term. But he'll literally organize the bones. He'll have all kinds of leg bones, deer sitting here and over here. He might have a bunch of turkey feathers piled up and Canadian feathers next to it, but he was organizing everything. It was really creepy. It's like visiting where a serial killer has been or something. Rib cages will be stacked up over here.
Do you think they use camouflage or some kind of...
I think, okay, so this is my theory. I'm going to say it's a theory. I'm not saying anything is fact. It's not an umbrella statement. But I do know this. Out of the DNA, we have a 12-strand DNA. They have a 24-strand DNA. So their particle spin is probably faster. Their body temperature probably warmer. But what happens to us when we get nervous? We perspire. Our blood pressure goes up. Our body temperature goes up. Everything goes up. Our particle spin increases. We have some of the worst eyesight on this earth, but our dogs and our cats have great eyesight. And literally, I've used my dog many times to point out the Sasquatch so I could take a picture. To the naked eye, nice. You couldn't see nothing, but on the camera, there they are. I can look at them right through the camera, and I can see them. And it was where my dog was pointing it out. So what if they get nervous? What if they don't want us to see them, and they literally can increase this particle spin, or it's happening unnaturally to them just because they're nervous and in our presence? And this is not cloaking. This is, we cannot see it. So the term cloaking needs to be used very loosely with these beings, in my opinion.
Any thoughts on Todd Standing and his work?
I'm not going to bash anybody.
Okay.
And I think that says. I think that says enough.
Yeah, it does. It does. For sure.
Any other questions about any of these things? I can't see all the questions.
Do you ask them questions to learn about why they are here? Bigfoot breed.
Yes, the Bigfoot. Their answer is always that they're supposed to help our people in the future. That's what they always saying. And one of the things we're always asked, they would say was, can you teach your people we are a people too? And they always wanted to be portrayed in a peaceful light. And when I asked why they would worry about what my people would think of them, they would say, because it's going to be important later for our people to help your people. I don't know what that means. I don't know what the timeline is on it. That's an infant. If you hold this picture, scroll up just a little bit, you can see, go down just a little bit. He's on the knee of a really gangly old man. You can see the profile of him if you make it smaller just a little bit, because you cut his head off. And you can see the grandmother in the back with her braids. There, the dark eye, you see his ear and his beard. He's got a silver beard. He's got a very gangly arm. We actually call him grandfather. He's an older Sasquatch, and a new baby was born, and they always bring them so I could log the new babies, and then I'd start watching for, the prints and whatnot. Gauge the growth. And I started that years ago with them, and they're still on it. They're still bringing me the babies. I really haven't been doing that in a long time, but I think it's cool when they do.
There was a question asked you quite a while ago about how long have you been doing this, like boots on the ground kind of thing?
Since the night that I started your last show with, when they started chasing me.
Yeah.
That was it. I want to know what they are. I want to know what the agenda is. I've been putting up with them my whole life. And as a teenager, me and my brother just started throwing ourselves out there in the night. And I'm 54 now, so that's been a long time.
Yes. What's this picture we're looking at here?
Oh, I'm going to go back. That is a dog man looking in my window, and then the comparison down in the bottom when he was gone. I would purposely open up like my shades at night and sit in the dark, and like those pumpkin is a purple pumpkin there. I will put some kind of object up to intrigue them, to get them to come up and look, get curious, and then I take a picture. I got a lot of these. I got some where my dog is actually in the photo too. My dog's just like wanting to jump through the living room window, and I had to up the blinds to keep her from doing so. But there's a comparison where you can see the neighbor's car back there behind it, and there was nothing there.
So there's a question for you. How many times have you seen these fairies with Sasquatch, or even fairies with other beings?
I got a couple of pictures of them with the Sasquatch. I got a picture of them with a dog man, and it was a black fairy. That was new to me. I think it was a fairy. I mean, some kind of elemental. It was so obvious. I mean, you could see her breasts and everything. It's weird. Then I've got like two pictures where the Sasquatch was like holding one in its hand, like walking around with it. And then the one that you showed that it's with the cat person. And then I have another one that's with a big wolf creature. So they've been popping up. I just leave that alone. Not really interested in it. They're just there.
Mm-hmm. So is there a connection with Sasquatch and orbs that you know of?
Yeah, I actually have a lot of like giant orbs. It'd be like the size of a basketball and things like that, and broad light just sailing across the backyard, and I take a picture of it. We got a lot, and I think I shared that picture with you, Jared. We've got a lot of orb stuff, and you literally see them on the move. This is the bat creature young. If you're gonna go bat creature, we have to talk about all of it.
Now I've heard about somebody talking about a bat squatch. Is that what we're seeing here?
No.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Have you heard about this?
I do know what you're talking about. Yeah, I do. You would have to start with the photo. That's the father right there. If you want to zoom in on him, he's a 12-footer. His eyes, it's not coming through the computer very well, but you can see eyes that were red or glowing red. Then the mother was like 5 tall. She was up in a tree. This is all happening while they're claiming there is Mothman all around me. I think they were seeing these things. You can see his wing up behind him. Like when they would shoot up in the air, it was like a bullet. I mean, it would remind you of Jeepers Creepers. I mean, and it was literally very creepy. They had canine type feet. The mother, you can see that really well. I don't know if you have that ready, but and they also have the eye glow, so it's definitely an interdimensional or paranormal aspect of creature.
Mhm.
It's I don't think that this was something that was natural.
I don't think he gave me the other one.
Yeah, Jared had it. It was up in a tree, and then next to it is a comparison of her when she's moving, and her teats were like showing her abdomen. And it's an owl person. Somebody asked about owls. You just passed it. Cat being.
Which was the owl person?
Do Sass and Dogman migrate?
They all move around. They all do their own thing. Sasquatch tend to the Dogman are here all the time. I mean, the weather, the cold weather doesn't even faze them. But a Sasquatch will do a lot of moving to the south. It's easier to hunt than running in deep snow, is what I'm told. And I've noticed on years that we had a mild winter, they hung out.
Mm-hmm. They actually hung out with each other.
No, they were like hanging out here. They have the Dogman and Sasquatch have their own territories.
Which was the one you were talking about? You said that they do kind of like sometimes they're with each other. Was it Dogman or wolf people?
It's wolf creatures that you'll see with Sasquatch. I didn't give you any of those photos because I was trying not to be any confusion in my photos so that you could see a specific thing when we were talking and not stackables is what I call them. This is a father and son, and you can see how much they look alike. And he was smiling. They were posing. This was the day that I told you that we had a eclipse, and they were coming to this one area, and they would whistle when they were ready, and they were just posing one after another, and we were shooting over the top of the corn. We would just stand up there over the top of the corn and take a picture. I'd stand on the bricks.
Does he have buck teeth? Or like a space in his teeth?
It's like he's missing a tooth, and I think that, or he's got a huge gap.
The gap, yes. That's what I meant. It's a very cool picture.
Yeah. And his eyes are kind of reflecting the green, if you notice there.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of creature? What kind of creature is this?
I know what it is.
What is it?
Which one? I don't see it yet.
This is like I believe this may be the gugwe we were talking about before.
No, I have pictures of the gugwe. It doesn't look anything like this. I almost sent you gugwe so we could talk about it. Do
you want to talk on that?
The gugwe?
No.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
what is this first? Hold on. I asked the question first. What is that?
I think it was a Sasquatch.
We're looking at a Sasquatch right here?
Yeah, that's what I think it was. I wasn't sure for sure on this photo. If you back up a little bit, you can see his hands is a little clearer. I mean, it's just not as clear on YouTube as it is when I have it in front of me. But I don't know. I was unsure about that.
It's interesting.
In this picture, I seen 3 faces stacked on top of each other.
You do?
That I was seeing before, yes. Obviously, I can't point it out, but there's one, and then there's one underneath them.
There seems to be one right there, and then there's one right here.
There's another one underneath them, too. It's hard for me to even pick it out, but I did look at this picture before with Shel.
It certainly is a fascinating image, that's for sure. Very
totem tactics,
very
exactly.
ethereal. Very ghostly.
Yeah, there's a Sasquatch. What I see is a Sasquatch face that you just ringed. I only see 2. Mm-hmm. I see his hand. I see the one on top, and I see the one in the middle that I focused on. He was just very unique looking. And they, none of them look the same. I mean, every one of them's different. And people got to get it out of their head. They're all looking for Patty when they look at people's work because not one of them is identical.
It's true. Just like us, I guess. Eh? Except for me, I got a twin.
Yes, the Twin Towers.
This is a dog man story right here. Notice, okay, notice the hair on this. This is a wolf creature that was nasty. I talked about him the other night, but the picture you were just on was dog man and has no hair on his face. It's like skin, leathery, black and grayish skin. Or this is hairy. This, like I said, this was the one time I ran into a wolf creature that was just being nasty. And the Sasquatch had been dealing with him. He had an eye that was kind of bloody where they had hit him. He had lost a tooth there, and he had been fighting with them all day. They got rid of him.
Now, Bigfoot, or the truth in the background says, I heard Sasquatch are able to control their temperature. Do you know anything about that?
No, it goes into what I was saying about what makes them unavailable to our eyesight. They may be able to harness their own energy and make it go up or down. Now, see, look at the face on this. This is a true dog man face. I mean, see that there's no hair on it. It's complete different beings.
Okay, we'll get back to that.
And these guys, I was getting infrasounded and everything when that happened. That was.
Is this the dude you're talking about right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
That guy's a good. I like this one. Clear shot of him.
I've heard that Bigfoot breed that they have. I know that wolf creatures are able to as well.
They do.
You see the others watch each other's backs.
I definitely believe the Sasquatch can heal people. You know?
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, they definitely.
I've actually heard stories.
They can actually affect your mood. They have they definitely have a weird paranormal side to them that doesn't get talked about, like the psychic Bigfoot, you know. And it's a shame because you know, nobody wants to talk about it because they don't want to be labeled woo or whatever. There's so many labels out there these days, people judging others, when so much could be gained if people would stop and listen to each other's experiences and collaborate, because without collaboration, they'll never fully be understood. Nobody's ever fully going to have all the answers, but if everybody could move in this as a collective, so much could be gained. And I'm speaking from my own experience, because there's only so far they'll let you go with questioning. There's only so far. And what I've learned from other people that can communicate with them is that they have different knowledge than I do. And sometimes that knowledge links up or crosses over into something that I've discussed with them, and I'm like, wow, between your knowledge and my knowledge, you know, we now have a piece of information that, you know, neither one of us had.
Connecting dots.
Yeah, and the psychic Bigfoot. What I'm talking about by psychic Bigfoot, the telepathy, the whole. You can't see me, but I'm here. Your camera sees me. Your dog sees me. The healing, the spirit balling is what they call it, where there's like traveling in an orb. All of that I call the psychic Bigfoot. They can move forward and backward in time. Had one do that and actually saved me one night. So,
do they come in your home and interact with your pets? Have you had any of that?
That must have been somebody that knows me said that. Yes, they have come in my home.
Teresa Roseberry.
Yes, they have come in my home. They can create chaos in your home.
They're little tricksters when they want to be, right?
Yeah, I've actually had
or big.
One of my Christmas tree. I always do a themed Christmas tree, and I always fall back to my Native American Christmas tree, where all the ornaments are hand carved wooden, and they're all of all the animals. And I got up one morning, and all the ornaments halfway up off the tree were taken down, and they were all stacked. The birds went with birds. All the mammals are over here with mammals. Like they separated it all out. and they had them stacked in the order that they thought they should be in. And I'm just looking at the floor going, they undecorated Christmas tree. Okay. And I put everything back on the Christmas tree, and 2-3 nights went by and it happened again. And I was like, oh my God. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go to bed and I'm going to pretend I'm asleep, and I'm going to lay awake all night, and I'm just going to listen. And my dog was on the couch, and it's the leather couch, and I heard her tail thump, 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 thump. And I'm like, what is she wagging her tail about? She must be having a dream. And the next thing I hear this little tiny voice that was like, and I'm like, was that Native American little kid in my living room? Boom, I'm asleep. Next thing I know, it's daylight. I go in the living room and all those ornaments are off the tree again. So think of it what you will.
Yes. Now, that being said, so much evidence has always taken by the government. That's what Lenny says here. Do you think the government's trying to cover up on this stuff that we talk about? These
Absolutely.
beings
I've had run-ins with them. I mean, I've been literally threatened and tortured by them. So, and I even have pictures of their vehicles. So, yeah, government definitely tries to put everything on a hush hush.
I've noticed. Well,
now, whose video is this? What are we looking at?
This is my video. Just O.R.D has it playing in the background. If anybody does want to watch my videos, you can see them on my YouTube channel, Sasquatch.Confessions, in the video section. These are just my videos that I make for YouTube.
I see.
Do we have any more pictures to share, or do you guys have any more questions for Shel?
And what is that beast pounding on that tree? What is that?
Good question. I think it's Dogman Confessions, actually. He's got a real problem with beating trees with sticks. Guy, I tell you.
I learned not to do that.
It's just for fun. It's not. It's just us being like, you know, we're not like trying to call in Sasquatch with knocks.
But I learned not to do it. Too many times you called in something you didn't want. Or you interfere with
stay protected then. Stay protected.
Yeah, or you interfere with their communication with their young, and then you end up getting caught between the two, and you get a mad Sasquatch, and you're between his young and him, and you've now interacted with the tree and made the young ones come to you. Yeah, it was not a good situation. I was going to talk about the Gugwe real quick. The Gugwe, I wish I would have brought pictures to this for it. It's not as scary looking as everybody says online. I mean, it's not pretty, but he looks like a Sasquatch mixed with a dog man almost. It's this huge mouth, and just he's got kind of a muzzle to him, but yet not, and they're just weird looking. And I got caught between him and his young. The young was at a fence corner of my backyard, and I was out there, and he was on the right of me, and he's yelling. He's making these noises for his young, and I didn't know what he was making noises at. I just looked in the direction he's looking because he's not looking at me. And so I used my cell phone, and I look over there at the corner where he was making all the noise, and I start hearing another calling type noise that sounded almost like a bird, and it was his young, and it was the same height as the fence post, which it sank over the years. It was probably 2.5 foot, 3 foot tall, and he wasn't concerned with me at all, even though he's intimidating looking and everything. He was just worried about getting his young close to him or making his young be still where he was at until I disappeared. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to get out of here right now, and just let him be, because he was worried. But he didn't make any nasty advances or look at me and growl or do anything like that. But he's definitely intimidating looking, definitely big, ugly, and looked like he could do some damage if he wanted to.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't have a bad encounter. The Gugwe didn't give me anything negative.
Now, this is an O.R.D. picture. This is an O.R.D. picture right here. I see that. What do you know about Mount St. Helens eruption? Anything about that with Sasquatch? People have heard so many stories about it.
Unlike everybody else, I've heard
government,
stories.
right?
I
That's
think I
about
was
it, I guess.
11 or 12 years old when Mount St. Helens erupted. I was pretty young.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember what year that happened in? I'm just curious now. I can't
1980 or 1981? 1980.
Okay.
Somewhere around there.
Cool. Lenny Buck, take care, man. Thank you for all the gifts tonight, Lenny. I really appreciate that. You're my first gifter on YouTube. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I'd like to say thank you to everybody that's come and interacted and asked questions. It definitely helps the knowledge get out there.
Do we have any more pictures with Shel here to share, or do we go through them all?
We pretty much went through them, unless you want to go through the footprints and the cast. Would you like to do that, Shel?
Yeah, sure. I'll talk about anything you bring up.
Let's get to there. Well,
please do this again. Yeah, we would definitely have Shel come on again in the future here, maybe in a month or two. We have quite a few people lined up coming up as well.
Yeah, if you're going to get me, you better do it before the weather starts warming up.
You won't find me. I'll be out.
That's right. Early spring is a great time because the foliage is not growing yet, and you can get out there, see all the structures and find them and follow them and cast prints, and yeah, it's going to be busy.
This is a really good question right here by David, because I've heard so many stories, and even in my own family, there's stories of my great-great-grandfather of them hearing Sasquatch coming to the graveyards. There were stories of them taking the bodies from the reservation.
I have a story about a graveyard.
You know,
and
what is the connection between the Sasquatch and the graveyard? Is there a connection?
I will tell you this. Well,
the first story was one about that. Remember?
Well, the woods line up to the graveyard that is here, and so it just makes sense for them to travel through that graveyard to get to the town and do what they do at night. But okay, this is a wolf creature print. Seen them running like crazy across the front of the house, and it was like early morning. It was like 30 below wind chill temperatures outside, and I had to keep running out. I did a whole video on this whole track line because there was more than just this print there. There was another one there that had the whole footprint down in the snow. It looked like a Sasquatch print, but yet it wasn't because it was a 3-toed wolf creature print. This is one that's running and digging in. So I had to go out there and do it, no matter how cold it was. I just couldn't pass it up.
So strange. You know what's really strange about this one?
My phone's fogging up. It was crazy.
You know what's interesting is that the 28th is when I had my second major encounter. This is December the 28th, 2017.
Oh,
the
wow.
27th through the 29th, the year 2017 was a very highly strange year. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I have to agree.
Did she cover the structures? We got a question from Susie B. Thoughts on teepee-like structures?
I talked about it on the last show. I'll say it again. I've seen the teepees go up on the solstice every time. It's like if the winter solstice comes, it doesn't even matter how bad the weather is. There'll be a new teepee structure. Same in the summer solstice. You'll find new teepee structures. You go out the next day. It's like, okay, it wasn't here yesterday. Now it is. So it just kind of coincidental that it'll pop up on the solstice.
And I think we
these prints.
We threw through the other ones last show, so just so you know. That was the one we didn't actually go through, so it ties in with tonight's show. So.
Oh yeah.
What Diesel is saying about the reason of some structures. Well, for one, they are a highly spiritual being. I will say this. I've asked questions about God to them and stuff like that. They seem to be on the same page with us. I've seen one carrying a cross, a little, like literally a cross they made. And it was around Easter, and I thought that was pretty coincidental. And then you were mentioning the graveyards. Well, when my uncle died, which he lived 3 miles west of here, where we had the horses and the creek goes right through the pasture. When he passed away, we were there. There was so many people. So we went home, we changed clothes, and then we walked from my mom's house over to the graveyard because it's a close walk. We walked over there, and by the time we got there, right in the center of his grave was a 17-inch footprint, like a Sasquatch stamped it. And it stayed for months and months. And if it rained and washed out, they would go and they'd do it again. And it was like they were paying some homage to him. And I thought that was pretty incredible.
Mm-hmm. Right, I don't see any
branches, structures all throughout the back bush from Naramata to Grayback Mountain. Okay, I don't know. I'm not familiar with those mountains.
Those are just areas up here in British Columbia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool picture.
Definitely. O.R.D's taken some amazing shots, for sure.
Lots of hooded people, too. That's a bunch
interesting.
Of
we need to do a show on you.
Yes. Yeah. We should do that.
Got plenty of things to share, that's for sure.
Yeah, I go on lives on TikTok if people want to follow me on there, and I'll sit there and question answers all night with them.
Mm-hmm. Everybody go follow her on TikTok. I've been spreading your name on there when I go on the lives, so
appreciated. Yeah,
definitely.
Because I'll go on there and do my own thing where I'm not getting interviewed by anybody but the people that are listening, and they're asking questions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, it looks like everyone's looks like we're winding down here. This has been an excellent show.
Yeah, I was just gonna say to like do like a whole conclusion here is to never judge somebody's encounter and expect that creature to be that, because these creatures are all individual, every single one of them, even the dogmen, which usually are bad. Most of them are bad, but every now and then you want to cross one that seemed to be okay. Wolf creatures and Sasquatch hang together, not wolf creatures and dogman, or wolf creature or dogman and Sasquatch. It's Sasquatch and wolf creatures. A straight-legged, human-like body, hair on their face, look like a black wolf, not gonna hurt you. The things that are negative, rakes, negative. Most of the dogmen, negative. Good beings, cat creatures, Sasquatch. Nothing else out there has like tried to harm me or come after me that's been negative. I just document what I get and share what I can. And if anybody's got questions, you can always find me on Facebook at Shel, Kaoke, Kaoke, Dion. Send me a friend request, send me a message, let me know where you heard me from so I can give these guys some feedback. And I want to thank these guys. It's been a great show. And TikTok's another place you can get me. You can follow me on YouTube, but I'll start putting some more stuff on YouTube. I really haven't done it, but I'll start
share
working
your
on
posts
that.
on my community page. I will, I'll help you too, right? I'll share your stuff if you want so people can see it. If you do start posting more there.
Okay, definitely will. Thank you again for all of this. It's been great. And thank you for everybody that come and asked questions and interacted. I really enjoyed this show. More than most shows because they could really interact with your audience. So thanks again.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate having you in. It's awesome. It's a pleasure meeting you.
Yeah, likewise.
So yes, it's been excellent. Thank you for joining us, Shel. I think what I'm going to do, guys, to start with you is, since we didn't do an intermission, and I know it's on our channels as far as this 6-minute video that we made, but I think it'd be a great way to end the show. It's one heck of a story that you shared in the beginning of your journey with Sasquatch. And once again, the cemetery is involved. Always the cemetery. My first encounter with Sasquatch was a cemetery, and I keep on hearing it over and over again. So there's something to it all. But with that, Shel, thank you very much. JT, Sir JT Esquire.
You're welcome. And thank you, JT, for inviting me.
Anytime, Shel, anytime.
Sasquatch.Confessions. That's who JT is. That's his channel. Then, of course, mine is the Lord of O.R.D, O.R.D, with a period between those letters, or just O.R.D. And with that, let's listen to this hair-raising, interesting, and very informative show. If you can get past the scary parts, there's actually some interesting stuff to be learned here. They be gleaned. Here we go, folks.
I head through that graveyard, and it's something I had done probably 100 times. I had a strange feeling. I can remember feeling watched, and I never felt that before in the graveyard. Never got. I had never had that hair-raising tingle, you know, and I felt it. I had that tingle. There, I see my brother. I was right. There he is, and he's standing on the building, and he's looking into the graveyard. And he's like, "Sis, did you come through that graveyard?" And I was like, "Yeah, get off that building." He's like, "No, I seen something in that graveyard." He goes, "I seen something." He says, "It's huge." His buddy Mike, which was new in town, he's standing there, and he's like, "Yeah, we both seen it, man. We both seen it." And I'm like, "Okay, all right, whatever." And I turned and I started to walk off. I was going to take the same truck home. And my brother says, "Shel, don't go through there, across the field that way." He says, "Stay in the light." He says, don't go through that graveyard." I was like, "Screw you. I'm going home the quickest way, and that's through the graveyard." And he's like, "Well, at least stay out on the main road where light shines on you so I can see you the whole time." And that made me stop and turn around and look at him. And I was like, "Really?" I used to babysit for the local cop, and she told me that they had vandalism in the graveyard. And I see this dark Suburban coming, and it's turning into the graveyard entrance. Now this thing was all blacked out, and this is 1987. And huddled up next to the tombstone, and just hid in that shadow, this vehicle stops like right there. And it's just sitting there running. And I'm like, did they see me? Oh my God, what is it? What if this is the cops, you know? What if this is what if the local cop has gone to bigger cops, you know? Looking at that vehicle, it's kind of ominous. And so I'm hiding, and it goes ahead and gasses and starts taking off slowly. When it did that, I thought, this is my chance to run. Now I'm on the back side of the tombstone, and I take off to run, and my feet get tangled up in somebody else's feet and legs, and I crash to the ground right underneath the other evergreen tree. And when that happens, I'm like kicking my feet trying to get away from it, and I feel like a little tiny kid. These legs are giant, the feet are giant, and I can't see, it's dark, get away. And so I just start running towards the school, and I hear this thing running behind me, and it's like thud, 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 and so I duck in one of these cubby holes, and I could see breath that was way over my head on the pillar, the same pillar I'm in, only it's behind me. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm literally, this thing is just 2 bricks wide. That's how close I am to something or someone that is a giant. And all of a sudden that breathing is right above my head again. And I'm 5'9". I mean, I'm not tiny. I mean, that breathing way up above my head, it had to be 7.5, 8 foot high. Okay, I didn't hear it move. I didn't hear it sneak up behind me. I thought, if I start screaming, maybe somebody's out, maybe somebody hear me. Left, start running in front of the school, and I'm screaming help at the top of my lungs. And I'm hearing it behind me. His feet are slapping the concrete. I can hear the slapping noise. Just digging, sprinting for everything I'm worth, because he was too close to me. I could feel it, and lost both my shoes. And so now I'm barefoot, and I'm running for everything I'm worth. And just as I get past the school and there's this wide open soccer field. They've actually put 4 soccer fields on that field. That's how big it is. And so I'm digging, running towards home, screaming my head off. My brother is coming diagonal. He has seen the whole event, and he's coming diagonal, running sideways towards me, so we would intersect like a T. And he is screaming, "Don't stop, keep going." He's encouraging me, "Dig, sis, dig, go." And so I'm running for everything. My mom hears all this commotion because she had stepped out on the porch knowing that she's looking for her kids and they're out beyond dark. It was a major thing at our house not to be out beyond dark because we had so much terrorizing at our house and we didn't know what or why. And so my mom is out there, and now she's crossed the lot and she's standing at the end of that field, and she's seeing it all in play. And just as there's a baseball back thing there, like the backdrop where you bat, the batting cage there, it was right there. And my mom was right there, and my brother's headed right there, and I'm just driving with everything I got to get there. And I guess he decided, I'm not going to take on all these people. And he just took a right and went into a subdivision of houses where they had all kinds of growing adult trees and evergreens and plenty of cover. And my brother didn't even stop to see how I was. He made a beeline chasing after it. And I literally dropped on my knees in front of my mom and just had my mom around her waist. I was just terrified. I had felt his fingers touch my back many times trying to grab me.